Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with my 2023 studio tour. Here I am just entering the studio. I'm going to first kind of pan the entire room so you can get an idea of the dimensions as well as some of the layout and the tightness of my space. I have fully utilized every square inch of this room. I believe it is about 110 by 120 square feet, so it's not huge, but it's not small either. So I, as I've mentioned in other tour videos, I really need to have my beautiful things around me. So I love pink roses. I love having them in my space, as well as other things like that shelf over on the far wall is all the fun kind of childlike things that I've collected or have been given to me by my grandkids over the years. So so again, visually, I love having things that bring me joy and things that inspire me around me while I create. So we're gonna tighten up the tour here in a minute, and I'm going to start moving through the room section by section, and at that point I will talk about what we're looking at. I will apologize in advance for the cutting and splicing because I literally, the space is so small, I had to move my cart, I had to move my chair and things, so it does make the, I had to do some cutting in the video, as well as one time I kind of plopped down on the floor because it's hard to get up from the floor for me these days. So but I hope that you will enjoy the video. So here I'm going to go ahead and shut the door and show you what is behind the door. So in here I have all of my, as you can see, those are Ikea containers with lids. I absolutely love them. They're a little spendy. I think they're about $9.99 a piece, but I'm telling you, they're a game changer in the studio if you can swing it. So I've fully utilized this tall shelf in that way, and we will revisit that again in a moment. This is my sewing cart, and it also holds my inks, my corner puncher, my corner rounders, my most used circle punches, my paper towels, and as you can see, I'm fussing a little bit with that. I am operating my phone with one hand and having to kind of move things with the other hand. So there's my other punches that I use quite often, my dies, and my embossing folders with some random beads for some reason. We're going to go back up to the top and I'll show you what is how things are labeled and such. So I have my silhouette machine there, and then up at the very, very top is a large canvas bin of all of my watercolor palettes. Watercolor is my first love, and so I do have quite a collection. So here you can see how I have labeled and organized my different papers. So I've got papers of my own. This is my fussy cutting bin, things that need to be fussy cut, my coffee dyed, things like envelopes and stuff like that, digital, my own copies of my own like mixed media paper and such, as well as my own copies of vintage paper. So on and on we go. I'm not going to go over everything. In the baskets there's future projects and such. So, and here we're moving back up to the top. As you can see, there is my printer. Perfect location for that because I can kind of just reach behind me. So this area gets a little bit tight, so I hope that you'll bear with me as I try to pull a little bit of things out of each drawer so that you can see what is in there without kind of going overboard. So these are little zipper pouches I got from Amazon that keep my smaller ephemera, that is my more used ephemera, so purchased like digitals and such. In here I've got all of my sponges for my mixed media work and distress paint, which I may end up destashing those. I don't use them, but we will see. And in the next drawer, we have all of my, I believe these are the Lindy Stamp Gang sprays. Again, I don't do as much mixed media as I used to. These are very, very well loved and very well used. Before I went into junk journaling, I did a lot more mixed media than I do currently. In here are my sprays. So I've got my Delusion sprays, Distress Oxide sprays, as well as Distress spray, just regular distress spray. So absolutely love those as well. And in here is just a mix mash of larger pieces of material, as well as it's very disorganized. It needs to be purged there and cleaned out, but all of my eyelash trim and special kind of yarny kinds of ribbon are in there as well. And in here are my coffee dyed material. So these are larger portions of lace, as well as eyelet fabric and things that I have coffee dyed. So I recently moved those into that larger bin because I was overflowing in some of the drawers. Right here I keep my acrylic, just craft acrylic paints. I like to be able to just turn and grab what I want. And so they're sort of organized, but not totally organized. The studio drawers weren't as pristine as I normally would have them be when I do a tour, but I've been a little bit overwhelmed lately. So in this drawer, the bottom drawer that I just looked at was gauze and some other kind of odd textile things. That drawer is a lot of my Tim Holtz ephemera and tags, as you can see there. So again, a little bit hard to get my fingers in there to show you, but I did recently reorganize that space as well. And that was where I had to get up off the floor. So up here, I'm not going to open these drawers because they are higher than my head. So I will show you a sampling of what the drawers actually look like below. So some of them are not, like I went to what do you call that? Estate sale, and I have not sorted those items out yet, so they're in those top drawers. This is my seam binding drawer. Some of it's spooled and some of it is not yet. And down here, this is how I spool my lace, and this is where I was like, oh my goodness, that was not well prepared there. But you can kind of see the system there. I've got different size of spools. They are a chipboard, a heavy chipboard that I purchased from Amazon. And this is a little bit of a neater drawer. So that's how I keep all of my lace at this point in time. Really, really handy. Nice to be able to just look in the drawer and see what I have. And then down here is all of my mediums. So this would be gesso and texture paste, all the goodness of mixed media mediums. So, and in here is a mishmash, some watercolor, water supplies and glues and things like that are in there, kind of an overflow. And then down here, this is my golden fluid acrylic drawer, along with some acrylic inks that are overflowed from another drawer. Down here is, I've got some watercolor, liquid watercolor, some, I think that's Dina Wakley paint. And then behind it, I can't remember what those are called, but they're a craft acrylic from Walmart. So I don't really use these. I did, again, when I did a lot more watercolor. Hopefully we'll be returning to that in the near future. So, and then down here these are my artist grade acrylics. So I've got golden heavy body acrylics and Liquitex heavy body acrylics. And again, when I do mixed media, I tap into these drawers big time, and I really love having a selection of paints that really inspire me to create. So that's why I have those. I've been collecting those for probably 6 or 7 years. So these are my golden high flow acrylics, as well as my Liquitex acrylic inks and Daler Rowney acrylic inks. I think there might be a couple of oddball ones in there as well. Amsterdam, I think there's a couple Amsterdam. And there was another one where I had to get up off the floor. This is a new filing system I have for digitals and papers that I'm using. I'm still working on that. It is not complete. Panning around into this corner and up on these shelves, obviously I have the things that bring me joy and put a smile on my face. And up above, some larger pieces of lace, my vintage doilies and napkins and such on those shelves, as well as my washi tape. And then I'm just going to briefly show you these drawers. There's a lot of places in the studio that are kind of little spaces where I just kind of put things that I don't know where they would go. And those crayons on the top are water-soluble crayons from Caran d'Ache, as well as I believe the others are oil pastels or more permanent. I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head now. These are just smaller bits of really grungy kind of ephemera that I've created using cheesecloth, lace, and modeling paste. I have a video on the channel for that. These are Lindy's Stamp Gang Magical Powders. Again, these are something I used a lot more when I did more mixed media, but I have introduced them into some of my coffee dyeing processes as well. So they are some of the first supplies I collected when I started doing mixed media. So here is just a variety of paper clips, the odd paper clips, Nouveau drops, which I always forget to use. I need to be a little bit better at that. These are D-rings. I have not used them yet, but I saw some videos where I thought they would be really handy to introduce into my projects. These are some large safety pins that I saw a video where somebody was using these. They were a smaller one, but I thought they would be good for dangling some deep beads off of. These are my Inktense pencils. They are a permanent watercolor, and they're fantastic for this medium, this journal creating, because they're handy. They are activated by water, but once they dry, they are permanent. And that's just a bit of gathered lace and such, some quotes and words that I don't even know is a mishmash. These are tiny scraps of lace and textiles. And then I just love that little jar of just everything that gets loose. And I just haven't taken the time to put them away. A couple notebooks there that I use for my ideas, my scale. And then in this drawer, we have my remotes for my TV and bling behind those. And as you can see, every drawer is labeled. That really helps me to be visually knowing what I have. This is kind of a catch-all drawer as well, scraps of paper, notes that I've made, some template kinds of things. And then this is just in front of my window, and I just love being able to look out the window and see these items here. So, and then my buttons, as you can see in that little metal box. And then moving over to the other side of this unit. And I'm not sure why I'm stalling out there. Dies. These are kind of the smaller dies that can also fit in my sidekick, so I like to keep them right there, easily accessible. This is like the junk drawer for this craft room. So everything gets thrown in there that I don't know what to do with. These are my stenciled texture paste papers and those kinds of things. Embossed paper I keep in there. My Sizzix switch, which I absolutely adore. And then panning around here, this is my work surface. My that little container there just catches everything too. I have too many places that catch things. In here I've got my Stabilo All pencils, some old credit cards and cards that I use for scraping, staplers, the little alphabet stamps that click together. I'm not super impressed with them, but I do use them from time to time. A basket, I like to keep that basket of smaller scraps of paper and lace right there. I just can grab it. And then all of my tools, brushes, etc., glues in the caddies on that little shelf. I love this little thing. I got these 2 pieces at Fred Meyer, I believe, that hold my pencils and paper clips and my rested paper clips and those kinds of things. That drawer that I just showed you is all of the sewing stuff, scissors and threads and all of that. So here I'm getting back down on the floor. This is a drawer that tends to stay unorganized. It's just some notebook paper, steno books and things, and then that white fabric is what I put down on my table to take photos. Some vintage books that I like to keep handy for pulling for ephemera. In there I've got my stamp platform as well as my plates for the Sizzix switch. And then here again, moving down to the floor, not easy at the age of 58, but here I have all of my adhesives and a random old phone. I'm not sure why I don't put that in a new place, but I don't. Here are my what I call grab and go stamps. So I love having them really close by so that when I'm doing a journal, I can just reach over and grab the ones that are the most used that I love. In here are daubers and sponges and my large clips, some alphabet stamps, brads, and other various assorted jewelry, things like chains and hemp string and things like that. This is my kind of the bead tool drawer, so all of my eyelets, my rings, my beads, and all of that go in there. Again, easy to grab. A variety of papers down here, some vellum envelopes. Not sure why that basket is in there, but the fabric tape, sewing pattern paper, and the papers that go in, those are in there for use. And some random things down here. This is where I keep my Your Creative Studio past box stuff. I just dump it into this bin. And then here I just have a bunch of images of people that I like to have ready to grab again as I need it. Here I had to do a lot of shifting too to get back into a space where I could show you this other edge, literally the space between I'm sorry, let me continue here. This is parchment paper that I use often, as well as my poly bags that I like to put ephemera in when I'm working on a project. My baby wipes and gloves are underneath the baby wipes. And then I have 2 drawers of scraps here. But what I was going to say is I have just like not very much room between where I sit and the cabinets behind me. And then on the other side of my desk is even smaller. I mean, it's really hard to get through the studio. So I have to move things. As you can see, I moved my sewing cart there. So that book that you saw there is my planner. That's how I kind of plan my videos and document what I'm doing. And those drawers there are full of little bits. I don't know what I did there, but sorry guys. Again, a lot of cutting and splicing for this video. So in here I have my extra large, this is the envelope drawer. So this is all of my junk mail envelopes, as well as other envelopes from things that I've received from people. I just toss those in there. These are large punches that won't fit in the drawers that I grab for the most. In the 2 drawers here on this side are just a variety of frames, chipboard pieces. Again, I used a lot of this in mixed media, some wood bits as well. Again, don't use it all that much right now, but I do hope to return to that. This is some smaller ephemera packaging, little boxes, Altoid tins, and things. These are bags and things that I've collected, not like purchase bags, but from stores and stuff. And there's, some restaurant ones that I've stuck in there that I like having those handy and organized in that way. More chipboard and wood bits that I really, really have loved to use a lot. And then going to go ahead and rotate again this way. This is the part that gets really tricky because that cart has to be pulled out to get into the cabinets that are in front of, that are behind it. So as you can see, scrapbook paper, this is where I keep all my copy paper, and some sticker paper, photo paper, and things like that are all organized in a really neat way there. And then on top of this unit, this unit, I'm going to show you the labels here so you can get an idea of what I keep in them. I think I pretty much have the studio how I want it now. I will probably do a purge because there are things I don't use and there's no sense in holding on to them. This is kind of a mess. That's my embroidery floss, the rings that, that open and close. Language is hard sometimes. This is a drawer of all of my pan pastels. Again, used to use them a lot. Hope to return to more exploring with what I can do with those in journal making. This is my watercolor supply drawer, just some random things in there. And up here I have the pens for my silhouette, some acrylic pens, India inks, and my index cards. And here is all the metal bits. So again, used a lot of metal in my mixed media. I do pull from there a lot for my journal making as well. These are all the powders, so mica powders, I can't remember what those are called, Ken Oliver, I believe, and infusions. So moving down here to the bottom, in the bottom bin here is napkins. To the drawers that are in back behind that cart are things I don't use. That's why they're back there. So I don't have to really pull that cart out unless I want to get to the scrapbook paper. That is all my tissue paper and some packaging stuff. My fabric needs a complete redo, but that's where I keep it right now. I think I have a solution for that, so I will be working on that soon. And then all alcohol ink supplies in that cabinet. And over here, I have changed this since I filmed. These are my project baskets. I have changed that up. And then again, another cut and splice, because this area, I don't know if you can see how narrow it is, but it's really hard to get back here with my camera on my phone to show you this piece of the studio. This is where I keep all of my stamps. Those acrylic containers I got from Walmart, I believe, online. And then in this drawers, this has also changed since I filmed the video, because I filmed this over a week ago. And so that's all my finished ephemera that I can pull from, my spools for spooling my ribbon and things. The bottom drawer has just random papers in it. So over here, this is still a work in progress. I have done some shifting here in this area with these shelves, but I didn't do that before I turned the camera on. So a variety of other papers, which I am resorting those out, and they will go in the new filing system over on my desk. A lot of pencils. These are where I keep all my watercolor pencil, as well as colored pencils and things like that. And some of my favorite people. And I love that little teapot. It's a ceramic my husband bought me years ago, and I love it. This is a bin that I keep all of my towels and rags in. And then there's a couple bins in this unit that are just random things. That's my craft iron. And then I just kind of put stuff in there. I go through it from time to time just to remind myself what's there, but it's nice to just have a place to kind of dump those kinds of random things. The bottom corner one is all my watercolor paper. More in here, my label maker, as well as my laminator and laminating paper are in there. Laminating sleeves, rather. These are all envelopes that I have either purchased or collected over time. And this is paper bags and file folders and things like that. As well as I believe, some other envelopes, like mailing envelopes. And this is where I keep, it's kind of disorganized, but I have zipper pouches for different color families of ribbon, as well as all of my three-dimensional flowers are underneath those. I have two bins here that are for the larger packaging. If I go over that, I just can't keep any more packaging. I've talked about that in other videos. So those two bottom ones are there. This one has just a random things. Those two buckets are for things I need to file away, digitals or other things that need to be put away. So we are just about to the end of the tour. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it inspires you to create a space within your means and in a place that brings you great joy as well. So thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.